Because the initial concept of herd immunity, that it would only take a small percentage of a population to become immune to a disease for it to be eradicated, because that concept failed to work with vaccines, health officials rebranded herd immunity with a different purpose. If enough healthy people are vaccinated, they could protect the weak, young, and sick from disease. Ostensibly, these people are in no position to receive life-saving vaccines that everyone else, even pregnant mothers and their feti or fetuses, receive in bulk. So let's take a look at all of the immune-compromised people of the world. These are people who, for one reason or another, have suppressed immune systems due to illness, disease, certain drugs like for chemotherapy or something, malnutrition, or are too young to receive certain vaccinations yet. There must be millions of them, because idiot government officials have ruled that protecting them is so important that reasonable, affluent, educated parents who decide that some or all vaccines are not for them, they cannot have the freedom to opt out. They are coerced, forced, and mandated into jabbing their kids unless they can find a doctor willing to write them a medical exemption. And believe me, that's no small task. Remember, these vaccine addicts, scientific snowflakes, are in a real tough spot here. They can't claim you should vaccinate your kids to protect the other healthy kids in school because all those kids are vaccinated and they'll be protected, right? They could claim you should vaccinate your kids to protect your kids, but they've looked at the data just like you and I, and they can see these diseases were rarely fatal to anyone in first world countries, even years and years before vaccines existed. So the mandatory crap they throw around these days is specifically for the benefit of the immune compromised and no one else. All the stink about getting kicked out of school, people having to quit their jobs so they can homeschool their kids, etc., it's all about protecting these few kids, or these many millions of kids. Now, these idiot health officials make no distinction between vaccines that prevent spreading the disease and those that don't. Not all vaccines work the same, and some can't prevent the spread of disease, but can only protect the recipient of the vaccine. Now, health officials cannot make that distinction. It's just too complicated, I guess. So it's got to be everything the CDC wants. So what about the immune compromised? To take away such a precious freedom, the ability to decide what unsafe and ineffective medical procedures your kid should have, there must be a lot of immune compromised kids around, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth stripping away such a basic human right, such as being able to raise your children the way you'd like, right? The benefit must outweigh the cost. So there's got to be a good number of vulnerable we're protecting. Let's take a basic elementary school with, say, 300 kids. From those 300 kids, there must be a good number of kids going through chemo and some other kids with organ transplants, right? How many would you guess? 20% of students? 10% of students with this situation? How about 5%? If it were only 5% of students with this situation, that would still mean there are 15 kids at an average elementary school undergoing chemo or organ transplants. Because we're taking away a huge chunk of freedom from parents, it's got to be really important, right? That's 285 other kids who will have medical procedures forced upon them whether their parents like it or not, in order to protect or potentially protect the other 15. In ethics, we might call this a utilitarian approach. What creates the greater good? Where is it greater? An attempt to protect those 15 kids at the cost of the other 285 possibly being forced to undergo medical procedures that might be unnecessary and potentially harmful, even deadly? Well, side effects are mild, and the bad side effects are so rare, right? So rare. But we know every elementary school in this country doesn't have 15 immunocompromised students there. I'm guessing the average is probably under 1, under 2 at the most. So 298 families lose their ability to make medical decisions for themselves, undergo potentially unnecessary medical procedures, and risk harm or death in order to protect one maybe 2 kids. This is protecting the herd. But not really. The herd are the ones getting shafted here. And that is my incredible opinion.